Hello, you're working too hard on your comic. I said it. I am here to advocate being lazy and not caring. So, perfectionism, right? I'm currently recording this while doing a live stream, so you can check those out. I do those. And we were talking a little bit about perfectionism, and I thought, oh, let's jump into this video topic of being lazy because it's been on my mind a lot recently. I have 5 comics, and I would not have 5 comics if I didn't have gusto back in high school. And back in high school, me and Ursula, our comics, they're not great. I don't love them. I love them like I love my cats. Like they're awful, but I love them. Like I hope you understand. And looking at them, other people also love them. Other people also really enjoyed the comics I made in high school with my wife, Ursula Gary Gray. And it's really got me thinking a lot about where to put efforts in, because I want to get comics done in my life. I have several scripts written that are thousands of pages long, and it's not physically possible to do this if I care too much. If I'm too precious about what I'm creating, I will never get it done. I think it's fine if you want to make gorgeous illustrations that are super detailed and you put love into every single panel. And I think that's incredibly, extremely valid, but you just need to be aware that you aren't going to get a lot of pages done. And that's fine for some people. That's perfectly fine for a lot of people. But I want my story to go, and I want it to be paced in a certain way. And in order to do that, pages and pages and pages of art need to be drawn. And at a certain point, you have to cut corners. I think it is perfectly valid to cut corners. I think we should normalize cutting corners. I think all of that stuff is fine. I think it's wonderful. And I don't think you should feel bad about being lazy. I don't think you should feel bad if you ignore drawing your setting too much. If it's not important to the scene, it's not important to the scene. You can really distill your comic down into what is absolutely necessary to be shown. And you can still create something that's wonderfully paced and enjoyable to read and just a great time. Don't sit there for hours drawing a door to perfection when you could draw 5 more pages. If you have a lot to do, you have to get a lot done. Now, I've been talking about this on stream recently, and I think the issue that a lot of people have with very lazy comics is kind of the webtoon problem, right? Where on webtoons, there's a lot of corners cut, there's a lot of 3D models and stock imagery used, and I also dislike that. But the reason that I dislike that isn't because there's anything inherently bad with using shortcuts, with straight up tracing models that you legally can or whatever. Like, that's fine. Taking pictures of houses and just drawing that as your background, like, that's valid. There's only so much time in a day, and there can be things that become a detriment, and I might get into that a little bit, but the main issue with this webtoon shortcut thing is the overall world of webtoon, the insane deadlines that people are put on to create that are just impossible. I don't think it's good that impossible standards are being set for people to make honestly very little money. Like, I don't think that's good. And I think that when I see that sort of laziness, I don't think about it as an artist doing wrong or anything. And I think we in general need to not think of that. Like, we need to think about the bigger picture of like why this is happening. And if the reason that corners are being cut is because it's not necessary to tell your story, and you work a job because like most people aren't making a living off of their comics, they only have so much time, that's valid, right? But if you're doing it because there's an insane pressure put on you, that's not valid. You as an artist are valid, but like the system is invalid, right? The main issue that comes from using these shortcuts that is actually a problem comes in the form of like homogeneity, right? When you use 3D models, let's say, this is like one that comes to mind. Well, I live with my parents, so I'm good. That's fair. I live with my wife. That's how I escape by doing comics all the time. Sorry, talking to chat. What was I saying? Right, homogeneity. When you use like 3D models and trace them, the main issue, like I especially see, like people will say like it stunts growth, and I agree that sitting down and actually learning to do it from your mind is good. It also like will make things faster in the long run for you. But sometime like if you're on a tight crunch, like you don't have time to learn, like I get that. If you're making your own thing, it's probably good to learn to just have these templates in your mind. But when you use those models, like the diversity of like character gets really stunted by that. Like there's very specific models that get used, right? Like those really like doll like anime thingies, like they're not going to be great for drawing like anyone of like with like like everyone has like some amount of fat on them, right? But like that it doesn't work for that, right? Like you end up with a very cookie cutter thing. But in the same way, like even if you don't use models, you can end up like that. But that's where like shortcuts matter. That's where being lazy matters. I don't use them tons. I just know like the ones that get used over and over again can be a bit problematic. And that is also like just an overarching problem, not necessarily an individual problem of even like anyone. It's just like certain comics do better, certain types of characters that look certain ways do better. It's all like a vicious feedback loop, right? But that said, like again, like there's nothing wrong with using them. It's just it's the same as like using something like the hero's journey, like using tropes. Yeah, using tropes, using shorthand, like these are all very valid things to do. When I started off doing comics, me and Ursula were very against using shortcuts, and I'm glad that we didn't, but we became so averse to them that we never used the fun little anime sweat droopies and things. And now that you do, like it's fun. It's fun, it's cool, it gets things across, unless you're drawing hyperrealism, you're using some sort of shortcut, some sort of simplification, some sort of shorthand. It's just a matter of determining where that line is. Don't be lazy in your writing, though. You have to work really hard as a writer, because making comic pages, writing them, easy peasy, okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I'm still going to be on your case about that. But as an art person, as doing art, helping out my wife recently, doing some draws, coloring stuff for her. It's tedium, and no one has time. Time is money, and like Time is valuable. It's not just money, you know, time is precious, you know? You can't do it all. And it's fine to be lazy. It's fine to not be perfect. It's important to not be perfect because you can't be perfect. And if you want the world to see your comics, it's okay to just be a little rough. Just let it go, you know? Whoosh. And look, I did a short video for once. See, I'm capable. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, please like the video. If you are a lazy artist, please confess your sins. If you're a perfectionist, truly confess your sins. You know, everyone confess in the comments, okay? Own up to it. That's what I ask of you. Yeah, thank you. And be nice to each other. Goodbye.